The air over Lagos carried a heat that felt heavy, like the city itself was sweating secrets. 2 months had passed since Operation Seraphim imploded, yet the ripples had reached far beyond Jamaica. Shipments once labeled as humanitarian cargo now moved quietly through African ports, stamped with new seals, guarded by men who didn't exist on any payroll. Somewhere in those shipments, lives were being traded. Ruddock stood on the edge of the marina docks in Lagos, the sound of cranes groaning behind him. He'd followed the trail of missing relief funds and counterfeit medical shipments all the way here, to a warehouse said to belong to a logistics company with ties to an offshore foundation. He carried no badge, only conviction. The world had forgotten the chaos of Hurricane Melissa, but he hadn't. For him, the storm never ended. It just changed continents. Marcia joined him, her voice low. "They call it Omega now," she said. "Same people, different name." Seraphim died on paper, but the network adapted. She passed him a tablet showing satellite images of trucks crossing from Ghana into Nigeria, escorted by private security wearing the emblem of a supposed disaster response NGO. After every catastrophe, the cleanup brings opportunity, not only for rebuilding, but for exploitation. Where governments see relief, some see revenue. Their investigation began with a rumor from Accra, a coastal hospital, suddenly flush with foreign funding, taking in more emergency transfers than it could house. Victims rescued from traffickers were vanishing within days, their records wiped clean. The donors were the same international consortium once funneling Seraphim's disaster aid. Only the name changed. Ruddock and Marcia posed as consultants auditing relief logistics. The deeper they looked, the more inconsistencies appeared. Medical equipment never delivered, drugs expired before shipping, and ghost employees drawing salaries from ministries already stretched thin. Behind each fake invoice was a chain of shell companies registered across 3 continents. At night, they reviewed files in a modest hotel room, ceiling fan wobbling overhead. Marcia's hands trembled as she traced bank codes. They're moving people like cargo. DNA tags disguised as vaccine labels. She scrolled through a manifest showing hundreds of bio packages. And look at this. Each shipment terminates at the same destination, Tema Port, Ghana. Then it disappears. In today's world, disappearance doesn't require darkness-only bureaucracy. The team flew to Accra under new identities. The city buzzed with optimism, its skyline lit with glass towers bearing the logos of philanthropic investors. Yet beneath the sheen, whispers spread among medical interns, unclaimed bodies, missing rural patients, organs rooted for transnational studies. Marcia visited a clinic said to be funded by the Omega Relief Trust. The doctor, a weary man with careful eyes, spoke off record. "We thought we were saving disaster victims, but the ambulances, sometimes they don't come back." He slid a folder toward her. Inside were autopsy photos with organs removed post-mortem, though no official transplants had been recorded. Back in Lagos, Ruddock secured a meeting with a local journalist, Mr. Ooch. They met in a roadside cafe thick with diesel smoke. Ooch warned him, "This goes higher than you think. Someone in Abuja is taking protection money to keep Omega shipments uninspected." Ruddock asked who. Ooch glanced around and lowered his voice. "They call him the Patron, former intelligence chief-turned-philanthropist. His charity receives donations from Western investors, same ones funding disaster response technology. You expose him and you shake more than one government. Corruption is never local, it's syndicated. The network that began with stolen relief funds had evolved into a machinery of flesh. Ruddock and Marcia traveled by night along the coastal highway from Lagos to Takoradi, following the convoy routes. Rain came in bursts, turning roads into reflective rivers. In the back seat, Marcia whispered, "Every time we get close, something slips away, like they already know our moves." He nodded. "Maybe they do." At dawn, they reached a rural checkpoint, guarded by men wearing Omega insignia. The convoy ahead unloaded metal containers into an unmarked compound. Through binoculars, Marcia saw stretchers carried inside, bodies covered in gray blankets. One moved. They documented everything: time, coordinates, photographs, and sent encrypted files to a contact in London, a former Seraphim whistleblower named Anya Lowell. Hours later, the connection cut off. Her number no longer existed. Why? Because when truth becomes a threat, the first casualties are those who carry it. The pair went underground in Ghana's northern region, hiding among displaced farmers. Ruddock spent evenings listening to radio chatter about new government partnerships, foreign investments in biomedical resilience, and high-level visits from global envoys promising healthcare reform. The same names appeared in Omega's ledger. Marcia's health faltered. The stress, the travel, the ghosts from Jamaica, all of it pressed down. Yet her resolve hardened. If we die trying, at least someone will know we tried. They intercepted a secure transmission from an Omega server-coded phrases about Phase 5 and asset harvesting quotas. Ruddock decrypted fragments, lists of blood types, coordinates, and initials of regional officials. Among them, one code repeated, P09. They traced it to a decommissioned airfield outside Kumasi. At dusk, they broke in through a drainage culvert. Inside the hangar stood refrigerated containers humming softly. Within them, rows of transparent biopods labeled with barcodes. Some were empty. Others held evidence of crimes too horrific to voice. Humanity's capacity for profit knows no boundary, not the ocean, not the conscience. Footsteps echoed. They hid as men in lab coats entered, discussing shipment schedules. The patron wants clearance before the inspection team arrives from the Global Health Council, one said. He's arranged the call with the Western Consortium tomorrow. Once approval comes, we move the Omega files offshore. Marcia recorded every word. The Omega files, the term itself, became their beacon and their doom. That night, they transmitted the data to a network of journalists under anonymous credentials, but only fragments uploaded before the connection jammed. Within hours, local police raided their safe house. They escaped through the alleyways of Kumasi, blending with night markets until the sirens faded. For weeks, the leaks circulated online, redacted documents, grainy footage of containers, financial records linking the Omega Relief Trust to offshore accounts in Cyprus and Dubai. Independent outlets picked up the story, but major networks called it unverified. Officials dismissed it as a conspiracy. Then, unexpectedly, a regional court in Accra announced an inquiry into human trafficking within aid programs. It seemed the tide might finally turn, but on the morning of the hearing, the courthouse caught fire. Records burned. Witnesses vanished. Ruddock watched the smoke from a distance. "They'll bury this," he said. Marcia's eyes reflected the flames. "Not if we make it global." They sought help from a shadow collective of whistleblowers known as the Mirror Initiative, a digital underground born from past scandals. Through them, they reached sympathetic journalists in Europe and Asia who agreed to publish synchronously once all files were verified. For days, Ruddock and Marcia lived in transit, crossing borders using pseudonyms. The documentary narration highlights the rhythm of exile, the life of those who chase truth without a homeland. In Abuja, the patron appeared on television, denying allegations and framing Omega as a victim of misinformation campaigns. He smiled for the cameras beside international envoys, promising transparent cooperation. Behind him stood armed security and banners reading "Humanity First." The public moved on quickly. Trending topics shifted. The storm, once again, became background noise. But then a new leak surfaced emails between the patron and a senior figure in the Western Consortium, referencing payments to an unidentified former world leader for policy access. The evidence hinted at global complicity, not just regional crime. Marcia whispered to Ruddock, "We're touching the edge of something designed never to be found." They met a contact in a safe apartment in Accra, a pale-faced analyst from the Mirror Initiative, who introduced herself only as E. "The files you sent," she said, "are part of a larger archive. Omega is one branch of a program that predates Hurricane Melissa in the Caribbean. Disasters are their recruitment ground. Floods, wars, epidemics, they follow the chaos, harvest data, sometimes bodies." Ruddock frowned. "Who's behind it?" He looked away. "No single name. It's a mechanism, a self-funding system run by private contractors, shielded by governments that need plausible deniability. We call it the Omega Network." E then gave them a drive containing the full archive. "Get this to someone who can survive the fallout," she said. Hours later, she vanished from her apartment. The lock showed no sign of forced entry. Ruddock and Marcia fled to an abandoned radio station near the border, planning to broadcast the files live. Thunder gathered outside, the kind that warns of a new storm. Power flickered. They loaded the data, prepared the transmission, and went on air. "This is Ruddock James," his voice steady. "If you hear this, you're part of history's correction. Omega is real. It began with relief, and it ends with exploitation. Names have been hidden, but patterns remain. Look for them." The broadcast cut midway. Electricity died. Outside, engines roared. Black vehicles approached. Lights off. Marcia clutched his arm. "If they take us, the files die." He opened the drive's backup terminal. "Then we make sure they don't." He pressed upload all to a secure satellite relay. Progress bar. 47%, 63%. The door burst open. Voices shouted. Gunfire cracked. The screen blinked upload complete. Then a deafening silence. The next morning, international news outlets buzzed with fragments of the leak. Blurred documents, whispers of an Omega network, speculation about global humanitarian corruption. Governments issued denials. Social media divided between believers and skeptics. In a quiet newsroom in Port Harcourt, a young reporter opened an encrypted email containing a single sentence. "Find the ports. Follow the donors." Attached were coordinates spanning 4 continents. Every storm leaves debris, but some fragments become seeds. No one saw Ruddock or Marcia again. Some say they escaped through the Gulf of Guinea on a fishing trawler. Others believe they were taken by the same hands they exposed. Yet somewhere the Omega files circulate copied, fragmented, waiting for the right eyes to read them. A few weeks later, A new cyclone formed off the Atlantic, charting an unusual path toward West Africa. Relief agencies prepared responses. Cargo planes were loaded. Funding rushed in from the same consortiums once accused of malfeasance. And in a dark server room in Zurich, an anonymous account logged in, accessing the encrypted archives. A message flashed on the screen. Phase 6 authorization granted. Disasters rebuild cities, but they also rewrite hierarchies. The world forgets storms. It rarely forgets profit. From Melissa's winds to Omega's silence, one truth remains. The greatest thefts don't happen in the dark, they happen in plain sight, disguised as salvation. This is TrueShadowsReel. Like, share, comment, and subscribe for more intriguing true crime stories.